Hello, welcome back. I'm Charlie. We are continuing to work on the album for Scrap and Create, and it is, oh, sorry. We've already done the inside panel, page 1, page 2. We're now going to work on page 3. And this page is going to be a waterfall, and I have 5 on each side. So in the previous video, I asked that you go ahead and cut out all of these. You should have several in your packet. We are going to need 10 of these, 5 for each side. And my cardstock for the waterfall measures in at 6 inches by 3 5/8. And I did have to trim several of these down to fit this, and it is a tight fit. I didn't want big, wide borders, wide borders. And then the 2 that I chose for the front of this are Happiness Forever. And then I went into you've got a full page of floral cut aparts, and looking at it this way, I cut out I'm going to call it the second one in from the right and the second one in from the left, because we've already cut this bottom piece out for the front of the album. So I'm using this piece and this piece. And then I mounted each one of them. I've inked everything. And then I mounted each one of these onto white cardstock. And then I'm going to put them on the front of the bands that will keep it closed. Now the bands themselves measure at 5 inches, and you are going to score at 1/2 and at 3/4. And these are 1 1/4 wide. So you'll need 2 of those. I'm going to pull these off to the side respectively, and then went into my scraps and cut pieces that would fit both sides of the strap here. And then your base piece, and I'm using as much of the base as I can. Usually I'm cutting it a bit short, but we're going to use up as much as we can, and this ended up measuring in at just very shy of 10 3/4 inch, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Usually I am leaving a gap. If I'm building up my panels, I will leave a gap over here to handle the buildup. But this time I'm coming just a fraction of an inch in front of that score line and using as much of this page as we possibly can. All right? Now, when I marked, we're going to use these beautiful gold filigree that came in with, or I am, and I hope if you've ordered these from Scrap and Create, you have them as well. If not, cut yourself some corners or leave them off. But what I did do is I came in, and you can see my pencil marks. I wanted to be roughly 1/2 an inch from the top, and so that I could get kind of an even 1/2 inch down here at the bottom by the time we're done, I hope. And then I did come in on each side at 1 1/4 inches so that there was an even space here on each side. And by doing that, we're going to have an even space, and I don't have the measurements for it, just 1 1/4 in from each side. Mark your corners where you're going to start, and then you'll have an even space down the center of them. I find it easier to turn my page upside down when I am adding so that I can see that very first one. And I am going to cheat just a little bit because I want that at 1/2 an inch, and I want to make sure that my other end remains at 1/2 inch so that it's an even straight across and it's not lopsided. I've already scored all mine, so I'm going to just give it an extra burnish, and I'm going to put tape, and then I'm going to start putting them all together. But somewhere here I have a pink fingertip that I need to put on my tip of my finger. So when I'm putting this down, I'm folding this in, and that's where I'm putting the tape. I'm sure those of you who are used to doing this, you'll know what to do, but I'm making the comments for the benefit of anybody new. Burnish it real well, get your crinkles out, get your air out. And then I'm going to remove my tape, and I'm going to come to my corner, and I'm going to level off with that row of pencil mark that I made. So then when I come in here, I should be at a 1/2 inch from the top, and I am. Now I'm going to just gently lift. I don't want to tear the paper, but I want to get the pencil mark out of there. And then I'm going to smash that back down. Now, I do want to comment that I had kind of a specific order. You do what you want to do, but I wanted to make sure that each side, that the order that you see across the bottom was the same. So I'm going to lay one side first, lay the other side, and then I'm going to put their respective pieces down. So I'm going to turn these upside down, and then I'm going to put tape on the second one. I like to see a pattern in things, so just randomly putting them on, to me, I've got to have kind of some order. Okay, take that off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this burnished edge and I'm going to abut it right up to this edge. I don't want a gap in there, so if I match up my corners and press, and then I'm going to fold this over, and I want to make sure I'm as even on both sides and it's not tapering off to one side or the other. That's usually because either I put it on lopsided or the paper itself was cut incorrect. So here's the next one. I'm going to burnish this, and then I'm going to put the tape on. And I'm going to repeat that process. So far, so good. Now, we're only using 10 on this waterfall. We have several left that we will probably make another waterfall. It is a wedding album, and I want to utilize those cards in here. They make for great. What I'm doing is I don't know if you can hear that snap, as I'm running it across here and letting it fall, snap into place. And I'm still doing okay. Anyway, I want to be able to use them. They make for great waterfall accents. I've got one more to put. And I'll show you once this gets in here. You'll have a little bit of an edge here, but it was important for me to have this up here because of I'm using the corner piece and I didn't want to run into this. Now, if you want to leave a bigger gap so it matches more, stop at 4. But I'm going to put the 5th one in. I know that when I got married, I had a ton of wedding photos and didn't really have, back when I got married, a nice album to put them in. It was one of those peel back and place it down on a sticky back. And then I wrote in hand, nothing fancy. And nowadays we have all these beautiful, beautiful albums to play with. Okay, so let's work on this side. Now I'm going to start this off in the same fashion. I want a 1/2 inch across the top. And I have a double pencil mark here, but that's okay. I am going to pick on one of them. And then I'm going to come in here. I wonder if I can sneak in here without... Well, it's actually kind of covered, but... Okay, let's give it a burnish, get it back down there. Ouch. Come in here, snap it just a little bit, lay it down, and hopefully not be cobby-wobbled by too much. So you get those creases in there and you've got to flatten them out, because if you don't, that's where the air is going to get in. Start drawing that tape out. And then you're going to have tape failure. This one's off just a bit more than I want it to be. So I'm going to kind of pull in on it and give it a good crease upward and out. That's better. I just didn't want to waste some undo to remove just that one. What's happening here? Why are these off? Oh, that's better. I do apologize if you're catching some noise in the background. I have a neighbor using a chainsaw, and my husband is dealing with the big garbage cans. So you might be hearing some noise. And because we live quite a ways off from where the cans have to be, he uses the big riding lawnmower to take them down to the end of the driveway. Okay, that one laid in nice. So I apologize. Okay, give her a big old strong burnish. We want that tape now to be in there and on the paper fairly well. Now the next piece I want to put on are these. Again, they measured at 5 inches. You're going to score at 1/2 and at 3/4, and this is 1 1/4 inches wide. And if I can find my tape again. Now, I'm going to put it this time on the underside because this is what's going to go in here. I'm going to secure it to this, and then it's going to come up and fold over. Now I want this to come in so that the gusset comes up off this edge, so I'm only bringing the paper up to this 1/2 inch score line. And I'm going to try and center as best I can. And get it as straight as I can. And what's that going to look like? I think we got it. And then I'm going to push back on that so that I can reinforce that score line so that stands up nice and tall. So let's go ahead and do it on the other side. Now if you are skilled and practiced at this and you have a different way of putting it on, by all means, go ahead. All right, now I'm going to try and center this. I'm going to come right up to this score line, this first one right here, and I'm going to eyeball a center, and I'm going to put that in there. Gently tap in case I have to lift it. Oh, looks good. So I'm going to reinforce that score line, and I'm going to reinforce that score line so that they both stand up. All right, now the magnets. I'm using basic gray. You can get these at Scrap and Create. They are a great magnet, especially for doing this because they come with adhesive already on them. Now I'm going to put this just about 1/2 inch or so from the top. I want to make sure my gusset is standing up fairly straight and that my tag is fairly straight. And then I'm going to put it down. Now there is quite a bit of length here. And the reason I did that is because I fussy cut these out and I wanted something long that they could sit on. You can certainly cut that down if you wish by 3/4 of an inch to an inch so that you don't have that big long tag. That's entirely up to you. They're easy enough to take off and trim back down. Okay, so I'm going to come in again just about 1/2 inch. Make sure my gusset's standing up and that my tag is straight. Put that down and give it a good push. Now to get these off of there so that they don't pull apart, just give it a bit of a slide. So while I have this open, I'm going to go ahead and seal these in. And I am going to use tape. So in case if I have to adjust that magnet for any reason, I can. And then just a tad bit here on the end, not much. Come here. Well, come here. Give it a good burnish. Somewhere here, there it is, I have a picker. If you don't have a picker, they're kind of a good tool to have. Scrap and Create sells one. All right, now I'm just going to snuggle right in here. I don't have much of a margin on either side. Put this down and then I'm going to burnish. That's done. And then I'm going to do the same here. Now, as far as for the length of these strips, they're a cut to fit. They must be trimming a tree, our neighbor, because it sounds like they're using a chainsaw, and then it sounds like it's a wood chipper or something. All right, same process. Sneak right up there. Not much of a margin. I probably could have trimmed some more of that off. All right. So I have now two pieces here on the front that I want to do, but I'm just going to glue them down because I don't have a magnet that I have to worry about. Boy, I sure can't hardly see the end of that. Whew, that was close. I could pull that down just a smidge. Easier to burnish by flipping it over. I'm sorry I'm off screen on some of this. I apologize. Okay, now I want to put figure out what direction I want the floral to go. So this way. That way the flower looks like they're both going up. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna glue these on, and I'm gonna stick kind of to the interior because they are sticking out on the edges. Come under the underside, give it a burnish. And then okay. Now it's going to be a little bit to get all of these cards on here, so I am going to attach my filigree corners, and I am going to use glossy accents. Even though that art glitter glue dries fast, I don't find that it does a good job in, whoops, too much, connecting with the filigree. Glossy Accents does a pretty good job of that. So I'm going to come in here on the corner. Now I have some of these clips. I am going to set them on in strategic places to keep them down on the paper while that glue sets. And then I'm going to work on this side. And I don't know if the other ones, if these will get there. Let me see if these will work. How far will these reach? Oh, they should reach far enough. These little clips come in handy. Whoops, wrong glue bottle. Huh. Okay, we're going to come up here, through here, the corner, kind of come up the center, the tip, and then this corner. And then just off the page, not too much. I don't want to be right up in the corner. I don't think that gives a good look in my opinion. Okay, squeeze these down. So those have a chance to dry, so they'll stay on there for just a few moments. Now, I have my two stacks, and I'm hoping that they're kind of in the same order. I've been moving around quite a bit. And I'm going to just simply, the top ones, excuse me, I am going to use tape, and then I will simply glue the rest of them in place. Like I said, we have quite a few more. If you, when we get to the end of this, if you do not want to do the final set of waterfalls, you don't have to. You can save those and make photo cards out of them and place them in your album. It just depends upon how many photos you think you're going to end up having. But because I'm selling this, I've got to anticipate that whoever wants to buy this is going to want lots of places to put photos. It's not fun when you buy something and you find out you ran out of room. Because not only do you have the wedding photos, but you've got the honeymoon photos. Now, if you're doing this as a anniversary album for someone, you may have years worth of photos that you want to be able to put in here. So having another set of waterfalls could come in handy. Now I want to work on this side. I'm just going to finish. So I'm using this side, not this. I'm using this side now because then the photo can go on this and they'll have all this beauty here to back and outline the photos. Now the next set, these being vertical, I'm going to try and put together the next set in a horizontal style to take up those photos. Now I can't see that top score line from this angle, so I'm kind of paying attention to the bottom one. You know, and if you give this as a bridal shower gift, but it's designed for a wedding, you're going to have, your bride is going to have a lot of bridal shower photos that they're going to want to put in here. So having lots of spots for photos would be beneficial. Last one. Put this right on that edge. Now when you flip this up, you have a nice spot to put a photo here on both sides of this. So we're going to close this up. And you can see that I had, on this side, I have kind of a beige, I have floral, I have a beige, and then I ended up with two florals. They will be the same on this side. Now I'm going to see if I can take these off because they're awfully heavy. Got a little bit of glossy accent there, but I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, this one, again, I'm going to tape down. know why, but that felt so slow. I think maybe I'm daydreaming or something. Or I'm being mesmerized by the noise outside. It just felt like I did that really slow. All right, I'll pull this toward me just a little bit. Frame it in. Give it a good burnish. All right. Now we will put on the rest of the panels in glue. Next one. Just 2 more to go. I think this is a pretty one. I love a little lacy accents across the bottom. Last one. All right, so we have that built. We're going to turn it over now and we're going to add the tape to put this in our album. Now there's a lot of weight in the center of this and you can see it's kind of bowing. That will flatten out once we get the tape down and it secure in the album. And typically I will run tape this way to, when I turn it, to add additional strength in the tape. What I'm going to make sure this time is that I'm going down the center of where each of those waterfalls are. That's where the weight is, and that's where I want additional tape. I'll cut that tip off here in a second. All right, now using this tab as my guide, I'm going to run the full length of each of these waterfalls right down the middle. Okay, let's put them in. Now I always turn it this way. I'm going to concentrate on where I want to be on this end, and I should fall where I need to be along where the gusset is. Those corner pieces make it nice and stiff. Okay, there we go. I'm going to lift this and I'm going to burnish. I remember one was a little bit longer than the other, so I'm just going to make sure I do both sides. All right, we'll sneak in and take out the tape from underneath. Okay, I gotta take them both off. Usually I go to the top and pull and take down, but the filigree is not gonna let me bend it without it coming up off the paper, so I'm gonna do it on the underside. Now we'll come in here and give it a good burnish. I'm gonna have to add some glossy accents to that one because it did lift off the paper. Okay, let me come in here. I actually tore it. Okay, looks like that's going to go down. And there you have it, your waterfall for page 3. Do come back for page 4. See you soon.